Hello everyone! Welcome to another session of Learning with Programming. I am your teacher Nich, and today we are now on quarter 4, week 3 of .NET Technology class. For today's lesson, we will talk about an introduction to JavaScript. Are you ready? Let us begin! Before we proceed further with today's lesson, let us recall first what you have learned for the past session. What are the codes or the programming languages used in the text file shown on the screen? Can you guess? If your answer is HTML and CSS, then you are correct. This text file contains HTML elements and CSS tags. Okay? Can you identify what are these HTML elements shown in the screen? Okay, you got it correctly. We have inside the head are the title tag, and also we have a link to our CSS external file. And on the body tag, inside the body we have the header, which has the content my first HTML file, and on the paragraph, which also has an inline CSS, the content my first inline CSS. Now that you are very familiar with HTML and CSS, which are both used in web design or web development, we will now proceed with our topic JavaScript. And for today's objectives, we have the following. Number 1, understand what JavaScript is. Number 2, to identify how JavaScript can change our HTML content. And for our third objective, we will apply this JavaScript in our HTML document. So these are the things that we have to discuss so that at the end of the lesson, you can embed your JavaScript to your HTML file. Are you? To test your prior knowledge about the topic, let us have a pre-test first. So this is a multiple choice item. We have 5 questions. All you have to do is to read the questions carefully and choose the best answer. Okay? Number 1. Inside which HTML element do we put the JavaScript? A. Is it inside the JS tag? B. Inside the JavaScript tag? C. Inside the scripting tag? Or D. Inside the script tag? Number 2. The program in this language are called script. A. Is it Java? B. JavaScript? C. HTML? Or D. CSS? For number 3, which of the following language was initially created to make the web pages alive? A. Is it Java? B. Is it JavaScript? C. HTML? Or D. CSS? For number 4, where is the correct place to insert a JavaScript? A. Is it inside the head section? B. Is it inside the body section? C. Both A and B? Or D. None of the above? For our last question, number 5, the external JavaScript file must contain the script tag. A. Is it true? Or B. Is it false? Now, let us check your answers. For number 1, inside which HTML element do we put the JavaScript? The correct answer is yes, you got it correctly. It is placed inside the script tag. For number 2, the program in this language are called script. What is the correct answer? The correct answer is JavaScript. Did you got it correctly? Very good. For number 3, Which of the following language was initially created to make the web pages alive? If your answer is letter B, then you got it correctly. Congratulations! For number 4, where is the correct place to insert a JavaScript? What is your answer? Let us reveal. Yes, you may place JavaScript in both the head or the body section. And for number 5, the external JavaScript file must contain the script tag. Is it true or false? The correct answer is false. Awesome! You got it correctly. Yes, scripts can also be placed in an external files, but we need not to put the script tag inside the JavaScript file. Okay, for our external file, JavaScript external files have the extension file .js. Now let us proceed. In order to understand what JavaScript is all about, let us first try to differentiate the 3 languages used in web design or web development. So we have here a picture. Let us try to identify what is their difference. So on HTML, which is represented by the skeleton, and CSS, which is represented by a boy, which we have defined his image, and the last one is a boy playing, skating. Okay, so what do you think? How does it relate with our topic, web design or web development? Let us have an analogy. What is the use? Alright, so HTML is being represented by a skeleton because basically, as we have discussed from the past lesson, HTML is the structure. It makes up the structure of our web. And we have the CSS, which is used for formatting, for styling. So with this boy, we can see that we have defined the color of his shirt, his short, his shoes, his face. Okay, so same with web design or web development. CSS works to style our web page. Okay, and the last one is the JavaScript. So just like the boy playing, JavaScript is a programming language which adds interactivity to our web page. Okay, so basically, this does mean that HTML is the structure, CSS gives color, nagbibigay buhay, okay? And the last one, nagbibigay kulay rather, okay? And the last one, we have the JavaScript, ang nagbibigay ng buhay, okay? So, let us now proceed. Now, why do we study JavaScript? JavaScript is one of the 3 languages all web developers must learn. It is the commonly used programming language used for web design and web development. As we have discussed on the previous slides, HTML is the content of the web pages. CSS specifies the layout of the web pages. And JavaScript brings interactivity, or JavaScript programs the behavior of the web pages. JavaScript is one of the most popular programming languages in the world. The reason for this is that it is the most common language used for web programming. JavaScript was invented by Brendan H. in 1995. As we have mentioned earlier in our discussion, JavaScript adds interactivity to HTML pages. JavaScript is a scripting language. It is a scripting language, which means it is a lightweight programming language. And JavaScript is usually embedded directly to our HTML pages. JavaScript and Java, though both have Java in their name, are completely different language both in concept and in design. What are the 5 things JavaScript can do to our HTML pages? Okay, there are 5 things. For number 1, JavaScript can change our HTML content. It can also change the HTML attributes. JavaScript can change the HTML style or the CSS of our element. Number 4, JavaScript can hide HTML elements. And the last one is that JavaScript can show HTML elements. So we will discuss this further as we go on with our lesson. Here are some of the important features of JavaScript. We need to know that JavaScript code is placed inside the script tag. Okay, as shown on this example, we have the script tag here, and inside the script tag is the JavaScript codes or the JavaScript statements. Scripts can be placed in the body or in the head section of an HTML page or in both. Okay, so on our pretest earlier, there is a question which asks, where do we place the JavaScript? Okay, so script can be placed either in the head section or in the body section. So, but then again, it should be placed, the statement should be placed inside the script tag. Like CSS, JavaScripts can also be placed in an external file. Okay, so JavaScript files have the file extension .js. Okay, if we have to use external JavaScript files, we have to put that either in the head or in the body section, but we have to link. Okay, so we have to include the source and link it to our HTML element. And number 4, another feature of JavaScript is that the program runs from top to bottom. So the top line will execute first, followed by the second line, and so on and so forth. Okay, so just like for this example, inside the script tag, we have 2 statements. This is the first statement, and then this is the second statement. So the program runs from the first statement down to the second, and so on and so forth. Statements are also separated by semicolon. Now, let us discuss the JavaScript syntax, statements, and comments. For the JavaScript syntax, what does it mean? Syntax means the set of rules how JavaScript programs are constructed. Okay, this is an example of syntax. For number 2, the JavaScript statements. Statements refers to the program or instructions to be executed by the computer. So JavaScript statements are separated by semicolons. So for this example, how many statements do we have? Yes, we have 4 statements. Declaring variable x, y, and z, and then semicolon. Statements are separated by semicolon, and as we have mentioned earlier, that is run from top to bottom, where x is equals to 5, y is equal to 6, and z is equal to x plus y. For number 3, JavaScript comments. We could also code after double slashes or between slash and an asterisk, and then slash, which is both treated as comment. So anything that we place inside double slashes or inside slash and asterisk are read as comment by the computer and will not be executed by the computer. So just like this example, so we have the comment on this lower part, x is equal to 6. And there is an information to which it says, I will not be executed. So this will not be executed by the computer because it will be read as a comment. Next, we have the JavaScript output. We have 4 types of output for JavaScript. We have the alert, the document.write, console.log, and using the inner HTML. Let's discuss this one by one. So, alert is a built-in JavaScript function that displays a pop-up when executed inside the brackets. Let us try to use Sublime Text to show how alert is used in an HTML file. Okay, for our example, let us make use of the alert method. Okay, so we'll now work on our text file, text editor. Let us write, again, as we have discussed earlier, statements should be written inside the script tag. Okay, and then let us use the alert method. So we will use the alert method, and inside the alert method, inside the parentheses, is where we will put the message. Okay, so this is a string, so therefore it is enclosed in quotation. Either single quote or double quote would be okay to use. Okay, let us save and then refresh and check with our web file. Okay, so as you have seen, there is the message which says, this page says, hello, I am an alert text. And then a button which says okay is also placed. So that is the use of the alert method. Okay, so marami tayong nakikitang mga alert method, diba? Say for example, if you have entered your password incorrectly, there's a pop-up message which states that you have entered your password once, twice, or thrice. Okay, so also there are some message which prompted us or alert us to confirm whether we are to proceed or not with the transaction. So that is how alert method works in our website, okay, or web page. Next, we have the document.write. So document.write allows you to write directly to a web page. So using document.write after an H-element document is loaded, will delete all the existing HTML. So this method, document.write, should only be used for testing, as for the following example. Now let us work on the second way to output information using JavaScript. Okay, so now we will be using the document.write method. But remember, document.write method is mostly used for testing. Okay, so again, you will use it inside the script tag, and then use the method document.write, and inside the parentheses is the content. Okay, so as you have noticed, we also place HTML tags inside our document.write method. Okay, so hello world, which is a header, and we also have a paragraph there, have a nice day. Let us check what would be the result for this. Alright, so as you have seen it, document.write outputs hello world with h1 tag, okay, as a header, and also the p element have a nice day. Okay. Next, we have the console.log. So this outputs the information to the web developer console. Sometimes programmers will use this while they are trying to debug programs. So they can see errors through the console.log, and but a typical web user will not see these messages. Okay, so this is for programmers use, the console.log. The third type of output for JavaScript is the console.log. So the console.log method writes a message to the console. So the console is very useful for programmers, and it is used for testing purposes. Okay, so let us have as an example. Let us try to code this on our text file. Okay, and then save and refresh. Okay, so as you have noticed, we didn't see the message hello world because this is stored in the console log. Alright, so to view that, check it through here, or F12 on your device. Okay, so here is the console. There is the message hello world. Okay, there is the message. Next, and last but not the least, we have the use of inner HTML. So The method is document.getElement by ID. Okay, so the ID attribute defines the HTML element. The inner HTML property defines the HTML content. So we have the following example. Now, let us proceed with the fourth JavaScript output. So this is by the use of inner HTML. So to access an HTML element, JavaScript can use the document.getElement by ID method. So the ID attributes defines the HTML element. So the inner HTML property defines the HTML content. So for example, so we will be typing here, we will use the paragraph tag and the attribute ID demo, after which let us use the JavaScript tags. Okay, so inside the script tag is the document.getElement by ID demo. So to which the ID defines the element. So it states what element this should be applied to. And then the inner HTML property defines the HTML content. So the content that should be placed inside this paragraph. Okay? So document.getElement by ID, which is this one. This is the attribute being called. And inside that paragraph tag, this one should be placed. Okay, so let us try. Refresh. Okay, so there you go. So this one is placed inside the paragraph tag. So as we have called in our document.getElement by ID by the use of inner HTML output. Alright, so those are the four types of output for JavaScript. Alright, now, so let us have some exercises. You have to try it out to learn further or to learn more and have your aha moment while coding this activity. So, all you have to do is to get your code editor ready with your gadget, either mobile phone or the tablet that is provided to you, or if you have laptop or desktop at home. Okay, so you may select any type of text editor that is available and compatible with your device. Okay, so enjoy coding and see what will happen if you will code the following. So try it and learn from it. JavaScript is exciting, isn't it? So for today's lesson, let us wrap it up. What you have learned in today's session. What is JavaScript? Correct. JavaScript is a programming language which adds interactivity to our web pages. Why do you think JavaScript is important? Yes, correct. JavaScript is very important in developing web pages because it adds programming to our web pages. It adds interactivity. And the last one, what are the advantages of JavaScript in making a website? What do you think? Okay, there are so many advantages of using JavaScript in your website. I believe one that we should take note of is it gives the ability to create rich interfaces with our web pages. Okay, so and since it gives rich interface and interactivity, your web pages would turn out to be more beautiful, more useful, and user-friendly. Okay? And that would also impact the person who are using, the owner of the web pages. If we're talking about businesses here, that would also impact. Now, the totality of the web pages would impact the business in terms of profit. Okay? There are a few more exercises here waiting for you. So I will be leaving you with this practice exercises. So you may use Edit Text Editor, which is compatible with your device. So we have 4 exercises. So number 1, you are to write the code to output your first and last name. The second one is write one line of code to output the following message. And the third one, what would this output? Try it out and see what would the result would be. And the last one, fix the errors in this piece of code. Thank you for watching today's video lesson on Quarter 4 Week 3 .NET Technology subject, An Introduction to JavaScript. I am your subject teacher, Mrs. Mitch Lazona. If you have some further questions about today's topic, you can always reach me through our group chat messenger account or email me at mitch.lazona@dapted.gov.ph. Thank you very much and have a good day, everyone. Keep safe and God bless.